Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live stream Tuesday. I hope you guys had a great Monday and then had a great weekend as well. I'm just double checking that it is the right day. We are at Tuesday. Every day seems to just blend into the next one, but I can see you guys in the live chat room. Hello to you all in there. And I was a little bit late setting everything up with the live stream and also writing the message that I normally do over on Patreon for requests for the original song to start with and then the cover songs as well. So thank you guys for your swift responses over there, because I only did that 10 minutes ago and we've already had some requests, so that was good. And I will mention at the beginning of the live stream that tonight it's between Miles Away and The Power of Love, and that's Huey Lewis and the News, because there are a few songs with that particular title. So a lot has happened recently, and I think the biggest news, which I only just found out about and was probably the reason for me running a little bit late as well, was the sad news that Ozzy Osbourne has passed away. And I think, even though he's had a lot of health issues, considering the performance that was so recent and the final Black Sabbath show and that whole event and all of the bands and how amazing it was, and raising so much money for charity. And this is something that I mentioned in my analysis video, that as an event it was just amazing and raised so much money. And, you know, as a final thing to do with your life, I mean, that's just absolutely amazing and just a class act, really. I mean, looking back at his career and, you know, and Black Sabbath and what an influence he was, but the band were on so many other bands at the time. And yeah, I would be reiterating really a lot of the things that I said recently in that video. And I think that it's such an unexpected piece of news because of how recently I've done the analysis video, and only kind of a few days ago we're looking at the performance and breaking things down. And yeah, it is very sad news. So I'm sure that it's something that, I mean, some people might not have heard the news yet, because like I said, I only just heard while I was setting up things on the live stream. But yeah, what a fantastic career, and you know, what a way to sign off with that show that, you know, brought everybody together. And, you know, again, I said in my video that it was all about the crowd being there and fans being there, and, you know, all singing together, and to a certain extent in some particular songs, and fans have said this to me, where they were there and they were singing along, and, you know, it was like they're helping Ozzy through the songs, but of course Ozzy could still sing. And yeah, it's amazing to have had such a huge event that was such a positive thing, not only for music but for charities, for everybody around the world. And yeah, to have the news that's just broken recently is very sad indeed. So I know that some people will probably mention it in this live stream, but I just wanted to address it before we started here, because yeah, I think a lot of people will be asking about it. But anyway, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. And yeah, like I said, it probably did contribute to me setting things up or answering messages and trying to set things up at the same time. Obviously, you know, it took a little bit longer. And then another thing that was happening tonight was, and this only finished about 15 minutes before the live stream, was the women's Euros football semi-final, and England were in that particular game. And if you haven't seen that and you are an England fan or maybe an Italy fan, then maybe mute the sound now, because I'm about to tell you the result. So thankfully, and I'll try and not do anything that's going to give away the score in the way that I'm displaying, or my body language, all that kind of stuff. But England did manage to win. They went 1-0 down and then managed to win 2-1. So that is great. And they'll be in the final at some point, and I'll have to look up exactly when that is, but hopefully I'll be able to watch that. So anyway, let's get everything up on screen, because this wouldn't be happening without my patrons' support over on Patreon. So thank you guys. You know who you are. They are the foundation of everything that I do. So yeah, the analysis videos, these live streams, and everything that I've done in the past is all thanks to these people at the bottom of the screen. So yeah, thank you guys. Right, I will get the likes goal up on screen for tonight. We are aiming for 430 for Phil Jam number 252. Now, the problem is that because we've done so many Phil Jams now, I'm starting to read them out as likes goals, because yeah, they're in the hundreds. But yeah, 430 is what we are going to be aiming for tonight. So if you guys can hit that thumbs up, it would be very much appreciated. And then we'll bust out the guitar, have a jam at the end of the live stream, as we always do, to the random backing track that is sent over by Joe, and it is number 252. Oh, it's going to be a long night with numbers. I better not even try and do any maths tonight, but we'll get up the likeometer on the screen just to see where we are at. It's 250. That means we're looking for more more likes. I'm not even going to attempt the maths yet, because I mean, it would have been what? Oh, I don't know why. I've dug myself a hole here that I'm going to have to try and figure it out. But 250 would have been like another 180. That's what I'm going for. So, and now we're getting a spike of the likes. So thank you guys. I think the thumbs up and getting that moving up is going to make it more difficult for me to figure it out. But I'll stick with that number, whatever I just said, at 250 to 180 it was. So yeah, if you can hit the thumbs up, that would be great. So, the only other thing is that you don't have to donate. Just watching is great. Maybe hit the thumbs up, introduce yourself into that live chat room. And for those people that can't resist donating, I think it's important that they know between 45 and 60% goes to YouTube through the super chat window, and between 3 and 5% goes to PayPal through the PayPal link, which you can find in the description below. So you don't have to donate. So, but thank you guys to who do donate. Donations are very much appreciated, but by all means, not at all necessary for anything that I do. The analysis videos and all that kind of stuff, is all just requests that come through. And the official request line now is requests@wingsofpegasus.com. So if you want to send through a request, that's the email to do it, because I'm starting to get lost in the noise of all the other social media sites and all of the messages that are coming through. So I just tried to streamline it to one inbox so I can just work through them there. So let's give you guys a shout out in the live chat room tonight. We have Laurie, Alison, Rocker Girl, Ellen S, Anna, Angela, Rory, Cindy, Billy, Kimberly, Mimi321, John, Steve, Daisy, Mike D, Joe, and is going through too quickly now for me to keep up. So hello to you guys in there. And I'm going to address, first of all, a few donations in the super chat window. And I'm just seeing what's going on over here with the PayPal window, because I did open this earlier, but it's all gone a little bit weird, but hopefully that'll right itself in a second. So Paul donated $5, so thank you for that, Paul. And the message is, here we grow again, 493,000 subscribers, most excellent. Spike those likes, all y'all, love, peace and rock. So thank you for that, Paul. And yes indeed, we have hit 493,000 subscribers, which is great, amazing. Thank you guys for watching, interacting with the videos and subscribing to the channel as well. It's very much appreciated. So yeah, we'll keep on pushing forward as always and see where we end up, but certainly it's a decent number so far, and we are closing in on 500,000, but we won't take anything for granted. Just where it is at the moment is great. So thank you guys for subscribing. And Jeremy says, how do Spotify pay its artists when bigger record labels use stream farms to up their numbers upon release? So thank you for that, Jeremy. And this is something that, I will try to answer more questions that I see in the live chat room, but I am looking at lots of different screens to keep things organized. So I mean, generally with Spotify, I mean, I'm not on Spotify because long-time viewers will know that I used to be on Spotify, but then for 16,000 streams, I got £12. So I thought, well, it's going to be better for me to sell that single on my website, or even on Amazon, iTunes, the different download sites or music streaming sites. And if I were to earn 99 pence for each of those singles, that would have been, rather than £12, it would have been almost £16,000. So I thought, well, it probably makes more sense for me to go down the route of just doing everything myself and releasing my music through my website and just having control of it all. So yeah, with Spotify, I mean, I know personally that the amount of money you get for each stream is ridiculously small, to the point where I don't know where it is now, but when I was on there, £12 for 16,000 streams. Somebody good at maths can figure out what that is per stream, per I guess adding to somebody's playlist. Now the whole point of Spotify, and I guess USP, unique selling point, is that they say, oh, get your music on Spotify, because then your song could be added to, like in my case, a playlist that might have, Winger and Bon Jovi and, Van Halen and lots of bands that might be in that kind of hard rock area, maybe Mr. Mister as well. So they'll say your song might come on after them or before them in a playlist. And I know that people might think, oh wow, that's great, because you get more exposure. But when you break it down, all that means is somebody's listening to your song, and if somebody likes your song and it's come on after Bon Jovi, for example, they'll add it to their playlist. So you think, yeah, but they haven't paid for that song. And actually, they're paying a monthly fee for Spotify. And that monthly fee, theoretically, has to get split among all of the songs that this person is listening to. So you think, well, if somebody's listening to multiple songs every day, it's just not feasible that every artist is going to get paid what they should for somebody effectively buying their song. Because if they add it to a playlist, they can now listen to it as many times as they like, and you haven't been paid for it as the artist. But then Spotify says, oh yeah, but exposure doesn't matter if you don't get paid for it. So yeah, you could have 1 million people who are all exposed to your music who never buy it from your site. So you think, well, what's the point in having the exposure? Because it doesn't make your career viable. You could get, 1 million people listening, but the problem is and that you might get a little bit of a payout from that, but that is still not sustainable. You've got to be making something every day, every week, every month, and then every year in order to do it professionally and make music your career. So with Spotify, the other thing is that a lot of the streaming sites say first month free or 3 months free. And you think, well, how are the artists getting paid if people are listening to the music for free? So, I don't know a lot about Spotify since leaving it, but I don't think it's changed all that much. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if, in order to try and make a bit of money from their songs, that they have these, streaming farms or whatever Jeremy referred to there, where I'm assuming they're just making loads of false accounts and bumping up the amount of listens or streams that I guess get registered with Spotify. But yeah, the amount of money is so ridiculously small. You have to be having millions and millions and millions of listens in order to make any kind of money. And even then, I'd argue that it could still not be enough to make a standard wage that means that you could do things, and that you wouldn't be able to make enough money to then invest in your career moving forward. For that, I've always said, do it yourself. It's more work, obviously, but it means that instead of getting potentially £12 for 16,000 streams, you could sell 16,000 singles and make 16 grand, which, that is a yearly income for somebody. £12 is not a yearly income for somebody. That's a McDonald's. So kind of puts it in perspective about when you look at the figures, look at what you need to do as a musician to make it financially viable. You've got to be selling your music. And if it means you're selling your music at the correct rate to, 1% of the audience that you might get somewhere else who aren't paying for it, you've got to go for that 1% because you're going to get money from that. So, this is why I've said before that when people, bands, artists sign record deals, 99%, well maybe 95% of what they're making, they're not making. They're only making 5%. And it means that as an independent artist, you only need to sell 5% of a signed artist in order to make the same money as them. So yeah, and this is it. When somebody, might sell 500,000 albums or singles, you think, oh wow, that's loads. But then you think, well, 10% of that would be 50,000 and 5% of that would be 25,000. So you think, well, the numbers are starting to come down. If you can get your music out there and, maybe get 25,000 views on a few videos and try to get your music out there and message as many people as possible, then you think, well, maybe there's a chance that you might be able to do something like that. But even still, that would, when you're talking about an album for £10, if you're selling 25,000 of those, you're making a £250,000. So even that, you think, well, yeah, you can definitely live on that, but you still don't even need to sell that amount. You could sell a quarter of that. I'm getting into too much maths here, but you could sell a quarter of that and still make a very nice living. But it's going to be a quarter of kind of 5% of what a signed artist is selling. But anyway, hopefully that makes sense when you're looking at the kind of figures and just making sensible decisions about your music. And that's why my music isn't on Spotify. But anyway, thank you, Jeremy, for that. And as for how people get paid for it, I'm assuming that Spotify are going to be making money from the subscription service. So people are paying for a month or a year, and from that amount of money, that is now split between all of the artists. And as you can imagine, that if they're paying like £5 a month, £10 a month, and listening to lots of music, there's no way everybody, because it means that if they're paying, say for example, £10 a month, it means that they can listen to 10 songs. That would mean the artist is getting paid what they should be for their song, which is like 99p, a single. So if they're listening to more than 10 songs, then somebody's losing money. And that's exactly what happens. So when you times that by millions of people, then potentially that there are millions of bands and artists who are not making anything from Spotify. And for me, the exposure isn't worth it, because in my experience it doesn't work. You don't get more exposure. Everything that I've done through YouTube and my website. But the argument for the exposure is pointless unless the people that are seeing your music are then going and buying your music. There's no incentive for them to go and buy your music if they can stream it for free on Spotify or as part of their £5, £10 a month. So anyway, thank you for the question. And Kyria Layson has donated $2, so thank you for that. And the message is, catch up for me this week, have a great show. So thank you for that. Karen donated $10 as well. Thank you for that. And the message is, greetings from beautiful California, Phil. Through watching the Osbournes, I saw different sides of Ozzy. He drew quite well and had a great sense of humour. So thank you for that, Karen. And there have been some donations over on PayPal. So thank you guys for these. I just want to make sure that I miss any of these out. Bryony has donated £5. So thank you for that. And that is a straight up donation. And Elrod has donated £6. So thank you for that. And that's a straight up donation as well. And Ian has donated £1. So thank you for that, Ian. And there's another straight up donation. And Steve has donated £5. Thank you for that, Steve. And there's a message with this. The message is, what is the difference between a jazz guitar solo and a rock guitar solo? So thank you for that. And I mean, to give a really simple answer, one's jazz and one's rock. But in terms of playing, I would say that one thing that I notice between, not that I play jazz guitar really, but if I'm playing over a backing track in the live stream or in a fill jam, I generally start to do more slides in jazz or over a jazz backing track than I would do if I was playing over a rock backing track. So you just tend, I don't know why, it just tends to suit the music better when you're sliding from semitone to semitone, even if the slide you're doing, you're starting in from a note that actually is incorrect and that you shouldn't be playing, but it's not really where you start, is where you finish with a particular guitar line. So you're trying to make it relevant that way. So with rock guitar, I'd say that there are a lot more bends, and a lot more bends with vibrato, and I mean potentially a wider vibrato with rock, but it all depends on how you play personally, because yeah, I don't really change the way that I play vibrato wise with a a jazz backing track or rock backing track, but I will make a conscious decision to slide more when I'm playing over a jazz backing track. So I might grab the guitar just to demonstrate, but it won't go on for half an hour, so don't worry for those people that aren't interested in guitar. But let me turn on the mic, because what I'm just going to show quickly is, I might have to zoom out here so you can see the guitar. So this is, and by the way, the idea that I had for kind of doing a guitar lesson type video, because I had this idea of doing a guitar course just based around the way that I play lead guitar, and that doesn't require learning any scales or even keys or anything like that. You can just pick up the guitar and kind of sing through it. But what I'll do here is just quickly show you what I'm on about. So say, for example, we're in your A minor pentatonic shape. And I know that people who don't really know anything about shapes or chords or scales won't really know what I'm talking about. But it sounds like this, and I don't want this to be too heavy, this sound. Still quite heavy, but let me change this to... That's now gone to nothing. Here we go. So we're playing. So that's our minor pentatonic shape 1, or box 1. People call it different things. But those notes, if I'm playing a rock type solo in that, I might start with this. I'll give you the root note just to an idea, and I'll go. And I do something like that. So, as you saw there, I started with bend, vibrato. Quite wide vibrato here. Can't remember what I just played. Probably did a run. And then bend with vibrato, and even a bit of a hint of a pinched harmonic in there as well. So, now when I get into playing over like a jazz backing track, we've got everything still applies. And this is the point about playing guitar and singing through the guitar, is that you shouldn't really have to learn loads of different things for loads of different things. You just play the way that you play, and the only thing that changes is the backing track. You don't stop playing the way that you play it and how you want to sing through your guitar. So instead of maybe doing the bend here, which was like that, I might go do a little slide, or that's even more jazzy, is taking this slide of the first finger. So I go, so that little semitone slide So I'm playing exactly the same shape, but the only difference I've made here is that I'm sliding into from the semitone below. And when I said about the note not really technically being correct, if I'm playing the A minor here, and I play this note, and this note, you'd say, well, no, those don't go. But because we're on there for a split second, it makes sense of it, because like I said, it doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish, that is the key. So, yeah, any line that we play. Okay, so I got a little bit more jazzy there. So, if you know, for example, your natural minor scale here, now, because we take exactly the same theory, the same principle, and all I did here, instead of going like that and moving down with the first finger, I went And you can start throwing together lines like there that I'm still in this shape that I've started. The only difference is that I'm sliding into the notes, and I mean the natural minor shape is something that I think is a great one to get into, because all of this and here, you know, semitone run-ups. So you can start throwing in that, but like I said, I don't really play jazz. But if there's something going on in the background or a backing track that is more in that kind of, you know, we've done jazz fusion or all that kind of stuff before, but this is all I do. I don't need to know anything more about, you know, scales or modes or anything like that. I just change the way that I phrase my playing, and it tends to kind of it tends to fit in there. And again, it is a case of singing through the guitar and knowing what the notes are going to sound like before you play them, because then you're never really going to find yourself in a hole where you think, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what scale I should be on, you know, which note should I be playing, or anything like that. I don't get overly chromatic, but if I'm playing, you know, like semitones, you know, you can kind of get away with doing that, where, you know, and just taking the octave below, yeah, and all that. So again, now the crazy thing is, I'm not doing anything different here to having a standard shape. So all I'm doing there is just throwing in my second finger as part of my basic pentatonic, minor pentatonic. Now, with the second finger, so you can start to, yeah, just take one idea and apply it to different styles and different, different backing tracks. And this is it, that a lot of people will say, oh, well, in order to play jazz, you've got to do this. And they'll say, well, just drop my pick, but they'll say about, particular scales, or, moving sharp or moving flat, and, this is what you're supposed to do, or this is how you're supposed to play. Whereas I very much think that you shouldn't have to play anyway. If somebody says, right, this is the backing track, you say, oh, well, okay, I'll play over the top of it. And I'm not going to do anything that other people think that I should do. I'm just going to sing through the guitar as to what I think goes with whatever's being played in the background. So yeah, all of that. Yeah, those semitones, always good, but just sliding into that, like that. And you can pretty much take that anywhere. All that kind of stuff. So anyway, and yeah, I haven't got a pick, so that's why it sounds a little bit funny when I'm playing. So anyway, Joe says you're just changing the type of melody you're singing based on the backing. That's a wonderfully organic approach. So yeah, thank you for that. And that's basically all it is. You're just changing the way that what you're singing sounds. Like if I go na 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 in my head, if that's what I'm singing, na na na. If I was playing over a jazz backing, I go na na na, and I know in my head that na 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 na. I know it's going to have that effect of that semitone, and na 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 na, and that. Trying to do it with without a pick is challenging. But you'll get to a point where you know what all these things sound like. So going na 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 na, and you'll know where these notes are that you are singing, so you can just play them as you're thinking of them. And yeah. Anyway, that is that. Like I said, I don't want it to go on for too long. But the difference between a jazz guitar solo and a rock guitar solo is, jazz is very much going to be... maybe I'm not the right person to ask, because somebody could give you an answer that means that, oh, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to change this, you've got to change that. But my answer is you don't have to change anything. You're just changing the way that you're phrasing the lines that you're thinking of in your head, because it doesn't really matter what the backing is. It shouldn't change how you're singing. Like, I think a lot of people have the ability to just randomly sing over things and extemporize in their head without any knowledge of theory, musical theory, but they can do that, and that music theory is great to have all that, but I find that, especially for me, I try and get away from it as much as possible, because it kind of puts you in that box of, right, this is what you should do here and that's what you should do there, and then you have to change to that in order to do that. Whereas I think, well, yeah, do away with all of that and just sing over the top, and see how your melodies work, that you are creating organically, naturally, and it is part of you as a musician or potential musician. If you've never done that before, you might have lines in your head that are amazing, but you've never played them because you're copying lines that you've been told to play, or maybe lines that another guitarist is playing. So yeah, it's all about just changing how you approach it, but that all happens in your head. It doesn't happen on the fretboard, like in terms of planning things out and pre-planning it all. So anyway, thank you for that question, and Steve for the donation. So there has been another one that's come in, and this is Diane, who's donated £4.16. So thank you for that. And what was I going to say? About the guitar course, lead guitar, all that kind of stuff. That most likely, not that it's going to be happening imminently, but most likely what would happen if I started doing that, I'd have my live stream as it normally is, and then after I've signed off for this live stream, then maybe there'll be the guitar lesson tutorial part after the live stream. So for those that are interested in guitar or play guitar themselves, then they can just tune in at the end of the live stream, and I'll get into I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour of taking people through this approach of not having to learn loads of stuff, but just using what you've got inside you musically. And you might think, I haven't got anything inside me musically, but it'll be in there. You just have to find it, because a lot of people go down the route of never actually finding it, because like I said, they're all learning parrot fashion. Just somebody plays a line, they learn that line, they play it. Somebody plays another line, they learn that line, they play it. So then they're not coming up with anything, they're just playing everything that they're hearing and seeing. And then, unfortunately, they never discover the creativity that they might be copying from these guitarists who come up with loads of different lines. Eric Clapton, when I was talking with Phil Palmer, and he said that Eric just came up with lines over and over and over and over again, just great lines, and he'd never repeat them. It seemed like just a stream of constant playing. But this is the point, that when you get into that place of singing through the guitar, of course you can sing all day if you want to, so you'll have access to it won't be access to loads of guitar lines. You will be creating endless guitar lines, because you're just thinking of them as you're playing and singing them. So anyway, that would be at the end for those people that say, don't change the live streams, even though there haven't been a lot of people saying that. But in terms of the timings, I think it'll be most likely to go at the end, whenever that may happen. But anyway, Diane donated £4.16, so thank you for that, Diane. And the message is, Phil, clarify, original Alice Cooper band were our neighbours, taught half the neighbourhood, and still family friend with my older brother. So thank you for that, Diane. And yeah, I think this relates to the comment with the original Alice Cooper band that was made in the last live stream. But thank you for that. Right. Now, there have been a few more donations in the super chat window. So thank you for this. Timothy's donated $9.99. I'm going to turn off the microphone, but I'll have to remember to turn it back on for the Phil Jam later on. That, by the way, we are going to be having, because we're at 443 likes. So thank you guys for hitting the thumbs up. It means we will be busting out the guitar for whatever backing track we're going to be having. It might be jazz. It might be jazz fusion. It might be, what do they call them sometimes? Melodic jazz. But it could be rock. It could be metal. What other stuff? I don't think we've had... Well, you can't really jam too much over punk because it's mostly going to be power chords, and yeah, you don't really get Eddie Van Halen type solos in... well, generally in punk songs. But anyway... I'm trying to think of all the genres that we've had, all the different backing tracks, different styles. But it doesn't matter what the style is. If you just sing through the guitar, you'll be fine. But thank you for that, Tim. And Songs of Life has donated $2. Thank you for that. And the message is, I love these guitar tutorials. Thank you. So no problem. And Kat says polka. Yeah, we did have... there was a backing track that was a polka backing track. So yeah, we've pretty much covered everything. I guess that's it. If it's going to be random, with Joe just searching for ones and sending them my way, yeah, we've pretty much covered everything. And I can't think of a backing track, but probably tempting fate here. I can't think of a backing track that was a total disaster, but I think more often than not, the backing tracks that are very hard to play over are the ones that are an original composition by a guitarist who has already pre-planned the guitar solo. And I can't remember what it was, but there was a Steve Vai one where... I think it was Steve Vai. But anyway, it came from a particular song that I hadn't heard before. But it means that all of the changes that are happening, Steve, it isn't kind of rolling with those changes, not knowing that they're going to happen. He's already written it, so he's got all the changes, he knows all the chords, and then he's going to be playing along and finding all the stuff that he thinks is cool to record that. He's very much not doing it as a one take, hearing it for the first time. So yeah, those ones are very difficult, because when you are playing over something you haven't heard before, you never know what the next change might be. And if somebody's made a composition, generally there will be changes in there you're not expecting, because of course it's their composition and they know they're making that change, so they're never going to trip themselves up with it. But yeah, but it's good because it is certainly a challenge. It keeps you on your toes. But Orlando has donated $2, so thank you for that, Orlando. The message is rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. So yeah, I spoke about that at the beginning of the live stream, but thank you for that. Orlando donated again $2 and said jumped on to give an extra thumbs up, but goal reached. So thank you for the couple of donations and all of the donations that have come in. You don't have to donate, just watching is great, but the donations are very much appreciated. And Connie has donated £20. So thank you for that, Connie. And the message is, I look forward to more guitar tutorials. Thanks. Peace, love and rock. Connie. So yeah, I think generally it's, I don't know, is it going to be a tutorial? Maybe it'll be just taking people through the idea, trying to get that down, but at the end of live streams, potentially in the future. But I got to plan it all out and decide exactly how I'm going to do it, because what I want to do in the end is have all of the lessons that I can then edit together, so then people can get a full course of applying what I'm doing to their own playing. So then, yeah, it'll be a concise course rather than something that they'll have to wait for another live stream to get the next part of. Of course, when I am doing it to begin with, people will have to wait, but there are a couple of live streams a week, so hopefully I'll get through it relatively quickly. But thank you for that, Connie. And Joe has donated £10. Thank you for that, Joe. And the message is, great point about being paid in proportion to how much people listen to your music on different platforms. Do you have any idea how to set up my Bandcamp account so that I pay people whenever they download one of my songs? So thank you for that. And let me just read that again, so that I pay people whenever they download one of my songs. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that what is crazy, and I know that Joe is joking with that last statement, but what is crazy, and I've met musicians like this on YouTube, and musicians who have quite a large following, but maybe in the tens of thousands, maybe not hundreds of thousands of subscribers, for example, on YouTube. But there are musicians who do this one thing, and I know because I used to do this, where you spend a long time recording something and you might produce it yourself and get it mastered, and then you just upload it to the internet and people can listen to it for free. So it means that all of the time you've spent recording, producing, getting it mastered, that has all been your time for free. You're not asking anybody to pay you for the amount of work that you've done. And I mean, for, I think, creative people, it's a really difficult lesson to learn, that they think that they're not entitled to anything for what they have put into their music. So you can get some people who put, hours and hours into their music, and every available opportunity that they have outside of their, day job, they put into the music, and then they release it for free. And they dream of being a musician and being able to do it full time, but they never reach that point. But the reason they never reach it is because it's focusing on the creative element of making the music, and then when it comes to the business side of now marketing your music as a product, they forget about that and say, right, I've just made this product, here you go, take it for free. And guess what? The audience says, oh, thanks, I really liked that. Have you got more? And then the artist says, oh yes, I've just done another single. Here you go, have it for free. You're never going to be able to be a full-time musician if you're giving away the thing that is the most important thing to not give away. That's your product. If you were a company and you gave away your product for nothing, you wouldn't be a company, because you need to make a profit in order to then make more products. And it's exactly the same. Even if you've recorded one album, I've got my album on my website, and you sell albums, and obviously another important point is don't sell them at a loss. You need to know how much you need to make on each album to make it sustainable, to make it financially viable. And once you've done that, then you can calculate, right, how much is it going to cost me to order more supplies in order to get more CDs if you do sell a lot of CDs, and just figuring everything out, because after a while it will cover itself and you won't have to worry about it so much. So and that's all part of making it financially viable and not giving stuff away. And like I said, I've worked with musicians on YouTube who are giving their stuff away, and I've tried, and it's very difficult, because you don't want to say to somebody, especially if they're trying really hard, you don't want to say that what you're doing is wrong. You're wasting all of this music that you're producing because you're giving it away for free. And there was one artist who I was working with, and I tried my best to say, what you've just created, put it on your website and sell it, and I will. And I had quite a lot of, I was in the hundreds of thousands of subscribers, over 100,000 at that point. And I said, and I will tell people about it and direct them to the website. So, but the person said, oh no, I don't feel comfortable selling it. I just want to put it up there for free. So again, I'm not going to argue with the artist and say, well, no, that doesn't make any sense, because I know that you want to do this full time. So you've got to learn about the marketing side of it, that how does any business work? You've got to sell your songs and know how much you are making per sale. Same for merchandise. Know how much it costs to make the merchandise and how much you make as a profit to then make it sustainable in the future, to keep doing it, for you to earn a salary from what you're doing. So yeah, a lot of musicians just don't get that point, that it's just the same as any other business. If you're setting up any business, you've got to get the margins in the right place in order for you to be able to do it in the first place. And yeah, get the music out there as much as you can. But when you are getting the music out there, maybe show a little bit of the song, and if somebody likes it, you say you can buy the full song from my website. So you don't just give people whole songs and whole albums. And yeah, it's a shame to see so many bands and artists still doing this. With full albums that they've done, they're giving it away for free, and that can even be on Spotify. They'll just upload it, and then somebody's paying 0.000000001 of a pence to hear your album. Guess what? You can't live on that amount of money. So yeah, it is a shame. But Rocking Babe says there's no need to explain why artists need an income. Starving is no fun. Yeah, I think it's a guilt thing. For some reason, creative people, bands or artists or songwriters, they feel guilty for taking money or asking for money on what they've produced. I guess because they think, well, I did that because I wanted to do it. It's like when you do something you don't want to do, you feel like you need some kind of compensation for that, which is payment. When it comes to the arts, people create something because they enjoy doing it, so therefore they feel guilty about asking for money for that. But it's very difficult to put that guilt aside, but it's something that, I didn't learn this until I was probably in my late 20s, so I've been doing the same thing incorrectly for years and years. But you've got to put that aside and think, yeah, but if I'm looking at this like a business, how long have I spent on this? And you say, well, I was doing it for 3 or 4 hours a day after work for 8 months. And you say, right, well, just calculate that at the minimum wage. How much money would you have made for working for that amount of time? And then you'd put that into a calculator and think, oh, actually, I could do with that. That'd be quite nice to actually get paid for what I'm creating, what I'm doing. So yeah, it's difficult for creative people to think along those lines. But this is the irony, in order to make it viable as a career, you've got to think that way. And that's why, yeah, when you do start to make a bit of progress with it and you get used to how it works, then obviously it's great, because you think, oh wow, I'm doing what I enjoy doing and now I can do it full time. But yeah, it's just letting go of that, almost guilt of asking for money for people to buy things. But that's how the music industry works. Back in the day, you didn't go into like what HMV, like that we had here in the UK, where they've got loads of albums. You didn't go in there and just pick it up and walk out the shop. You had to pay your £10 for that album, or however much it was. And that's the way that music works, always has worked and always will work. But obviously with digital, it changes. With streaming sites, it changes, but not for the artist. The artist still should make sure that they're getting paid for what they're producing, and not through a third-party streaming site. Make sure that you're in control and you're receiving the money for your product. So anyway, right, we're approaching midnight here, so this has been a bit of a live stream of, business, music business advice, marketing, all that kind of stuff. But it is important stuff for independent musicians to know, or any musician to know. So right, I will the vote is close for tonight between The Power of Love and Miles Away, but I'll bring it to a close because I think it's going to be The Power of Love, which has this is a bit weird, 51% of the vote, and Miles Away has 47% of the vote. I'm trying to figure out how that works as a percentage, that one can have 51 and one can have 47. Because if it goes to decimal points, surely that would be 48 point something against 51 point something. I don't know. But YouTube has spoken, and those are the numbers that it's giving. 51% of the vote, and miles away 47% of the vote. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy my version of The Power of Love, and this is Huey Lewis and the News from, well, not specifically from the Back to the Future movies, but it was featured on them. So here you go. Hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you after. Rock!
Make a bad one good, make a wrong one right. The power of love that keeps you home at night. Don't need money, don't take fame, don't need no credit card to ride this train. It's strong and it's sudden and it's cruel sometimes, but it might just save your life. That's the power of love. That's the power.
There we have it. That was my version of The Power of Love by Huey Lewis and the News. And just quickly, there's a Fred Darlu or somebody who, I don't know who they were referring to in the live chat room, but they said that you've got to pay to talk to me. But as I always say in my live streams, you don't have to donate or pay for anything. And I mean, with the live streams, like like Elaine going through there saying love the cover. I see the comments sometimes when I'm addressing a question. I do tend to explain what I'm talking about, but yeah, no, you don't have to donate or pay for any requests or to talk to me or any of that kind of stuff. I know that there are other channels that do that and charge for, you know, their, I don't know, reactions or videos, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, everything that I do is just whatever I get sent through. And yeah, you people in the live chat room, I do take a regular look in there. But I will try to look over into the live chat room a little bit more. The other thing is that everything that I'm doing, and I do on YouTube and everywhere, is just me. So on the live streams, I am looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screens in order to keep everything going and keep all this stuff on screen organized, so that we can see, you know, how many likes we've got, what obviously the goal is, and the names going across the bottom, and the things changing at the side, down kind of here with the different things that it says. So anyway, we are, let me just check, the Phil Jam backing track for tonight is going to be 5 minutes and 8 seconds, and we're at 3 minutes past midnight. So I don't know, does that mean we've got a little bit of time? We might have time, we might not have time. I do kind of have a troll corner type thing, but I don't know whether we should go into that very quickly, or whether I know that Joe says Phil tune fireworks, but I think that fireworks Phil tune is quite a long one. It's like, 7 or 8 minutes. So it means that we wouldn't be able to fit in the jam at the end. So I'll keep an eye on. Daisy says Trolly save for Saturday, and then Joe says Troll Corner. And the thing is, by Saturday there might be more troll stuff, so we'll jump into Troll Corner just because I can talk through that quickly, and then we can get into the Phil Jam. So, and we can have a little listen to, again, everything that you hear is me. So with the Wings of Pegasus intro, that's just a riff that I played on the guitar, just a quick lead thing. And with the troll intro and the troll outro, that's me. The music in the background of Picture Corner, that's a bit jazzy, that's me. So anyway, let's have a listen to the Troll Corner intro, and I'll see you guys in there in a second. Rock! And yes, the troll's voice is me as well. So anyway, with the videos that I make, there's this is related to the last one that I made, that was on the Ozzy Osbourne final show in Black Sabbath, where somebody said you should have left this alone, and this was a comment from maybe a week ago, something like that, saying that I should have left that performance alone and shouldn't have looked into it and all this kind of stuff. And again, what I do on the channel is totally objective, so anything that I'm asked to look at, I will look at. And it doesn't really mean, on that video I said the performance wasn't about pitch correction or auto-tune or anything like that. It was a totally different thing. But when I'm asked to look into something, I will do, and I'll just state exactly what was going on. So yeah, if I hadn't have done that, it wouldn't be objective. So I think a lot of people, not a lot of people, I think some people would rather that I just focus on young bands and artists, like or younger bands or artists, like Taylor Swift or Sabrina Carpenter, and those, Dua Lipa, that I did a video on, where I'm pointing out particular things that it might be backing tracks or even pre-recorded vocals, might be miming, lip syncing, this kind of stuff. But in order to be objective, I've got to look at everything. So that means that if it's happening with a band who might have been around for 30, 40, 50 years, I'm still going to point out what's going on, and it's going to fall either side of either being totally live or some stuff going on, and I'll point that all out. So I think when some people say, you should have left that alone, it's because they don't really want for me to look at that in detail and point it out. But that's all irrelevant, really, because that particular performance wasn't about that anyway. I was just pointing out what had happened for then the stream that happened 2 hours later. And another person on the same video they commented about, when I took Ozzy's voice and I left it where it was and I changed the backing and brought that down a semitone so that you could hear that he was pretty much a semitone off for the whole vocal that we listened to. And somebody said, oh, you're being biased because it's Ozzy Osbourne. You've changed the backing to now make him sound in tune. So if you do that on that video, you're going to have to do them on all of your videos. So again, he was trying to make out that I wasn't being objective because I might be a fan of Ozzy or Black Sabbath, that I'm changing it to make it sound better. And I did say to this person that I have done this in other videos where we've, like Doja Cat, it just popped into my mind, where she was singing perfectly sharp or flat, I can't remember which, but I then adjusted the backing to show her intervals of how accurate she was. So it wasn't just for that video. If it does happen that I'm looking at something that is perfectly flat by a semitone, then I will point that out and I'll allow people to hear what it sounds like with the instrumentation taken down to semitone. Now the problem is, the reason that I can't do that in every video is because singers, when they are off key, they are very rarely off key by a perfect amount. They'll be off, maybe a semitone off, and then there'll be maybe 50 cents off flat, and then maybe 50 cents sharp, and maybe even a semitone sharp. So it's drifting all over the place. You can't change instrumentation to match a vocal that is drifting all over the place. The instruments would have, a held note would have to kind of bend up and down, and you'd have to do that for every instrument. You can't do that. So this is why, when it does happen, it is rare, I will show it. And I guess the person making the comment hasn't seen my videos or all of my videos and don't know that I do that. So to say that I'm not being objective in that video because I've done that, they haven't seen all the other videos where I have done that as well. So yeah, it's a little bit silly, but anyway, we will get out of Troll Corner and get into the Fill Jam. So I'll see you guys after this. Right, so we already zoomed out from the demonstration earlier. Pick is on the floor. New pick from other guitar. Wow. It's really worn out, but that's rock and roll. Hopefully I'll be able to hit the strings. Right, so let me click on this, and it's going to be an advert, so I'll mute that. Right. Oh wow. We're about to start on a clean tone then, which I tend not to do just in case, because you can always clean up your dirty tone, but you can't dirty up your clean tone. So anyway, this is backing track, Pat Metheny style in E, Aeolian, 104 beats per minute from This Music Studio, DIXM USIC Music Studio with STUDIO. So if you want to check it out, that's the place to go to. Let me unmute that. Let me know what the levels are like, if you can hear the backing track and if you can hear my guitar. I'll have to be able to hear it in the first place. Ooh, a bit synth-tastic. sudden ending and really short, quite short backing track. So there we have it. That was backing track Paul Metheny style in E Aeolian 104 beats per minute in brackets from DIX Music Studio on YouTube. So if you guys want to check that out, you can do. I was waiting for, it sounded like it was always going to get a little bit more involved. Like it was building up and then it would go back to what it was. So I was waiting to kind of let loose a little bit. So it didn't kind of go too crazy. So we just went into a little bit of fading in the guitar and saw what happened with that. So anyway, and that's another thing about kind of singing through the guitar, is that you'll find that sometimes you kind of want the backing track to go a little bit more. It's like, oh, it's a cool backing track if it went to another kind of level dynamically a little bit more, but backing tracks are backing tracks. It is what it is. So yeah, it's great that people make backing tracks and put them up on YouTube so that people can practice their playing and jam along to them. So yeah, thank you Joe for sending that my way, and Diamond Girl donated $1.99, says thanks, so thank you for that. David donated $1.99. And there's a picture of something, and I don't know what the something is, but thank you, David, for sending that. Maybe it's a firework or something. It might have writing in it. It's way too small for me to be able to read it. So, right, we are going to be calling things to a close for tonight's live stream. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to be here with another video tomorrow night, so look out for that one. And I'm going to be live streaming on Saturday night again, of course. So if you guys could join me then, it would be very much appreciated, because we'll be going for another likes goal as we did tonight, but lots of likes tonight. Thank you guys for hitting the thumbs up, and if you're watching in the future on catch up, you can hit the thumbs up as well. It really does help the live streams to get out there a little bit more and for the channel to grow on the whole. So all there's left for me to say is try to stay as safe and as sane as possible in this crazy world in which we live. Have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!